for the next 15 minutes or so. A warm welcome to the show to my old friend, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum, Dr. Philip Kiszely. Welcome, Philip.
Hi, Kev. How you doing?
How's your voice?
It's getting better. I'm still not fit for yodeling at the moment,
Yeah.
but it's getting better. So
That's a shame because I miss your yodeling. I really do. Now let's go through some of the big stories. Let's first of all play Suella Braverman. She's made 2 appearances for Reform UK today. Earlier at a special veterans occasion for Reform, when Nigel Farage unveiled her as the latest big-name defector from Tory Towers, former Home Secretary, of course, very big scalp, and then they regrouped for another presser media event over the last 20 minutes or so, which I think is still going on. But here is Suella talking about her defection.
I believe that a better Britain is possible. And because I believe that is possible, today I'm announcing that I resign the Conservative whip. I resign the Conservative whip and my party membership, a party membership of 30 years. It's gone. It's over today. And because I believe with my heart and soul that a better future is possible for us, I am joining Reform UK.
Now, Philip, you know, Suella Braverman joining Reform is not the political shock of the decade. I mean, we always felt, even when she was Home Secretary, that she would have been more at home in the Reform UK party. And indeed, today, like it was a weight lifted off her shoulders, she said, I feel like I've come home. Yeah. So she is, you know, exactly what Reform UK needs. She's cut out for Reform UK. But we'll read tomorrow in the Daily Mail that this is a triumph for the Tories. You know, it's good to get rid of all this deadwood that we don't want in the party anyway. But in the last week alone, they've lost a former... This is the Tories, a former Chancellor of the Exchequer, Nadim Zahawi, a former Immigration Minister and Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, and now a former Home Secretary, Suella Braverman. These are big names. In the world of Westminster, hardly anyone has heard of anyone there, particularly in the Labour cabinet, particularly in the Shadow Tory cabinet. These 3 names in particular, these are big names. Having name recognition in politics is important. This has been a triumph for Reform, I would contend, and all this talk of, oh, it's good for the Tories. It's not good for the Tories, is it?
Oh, no, it's absolutely ridiculous. I think at the moment, she is the 27th current or former MP to defect to Nigel from the Tories. There is no way you can spin that as being good. That's catastrophic. And I think that's unprecedented. I don't think that kind of thing has happened in modern politics before. But there's something else as well, Kev. It's not just what she did, it's how she did it and the tone of her comments, which are very similar to Jenrick. She talked about Tory betrayal. She talked about Tory lies. This is just appalling. I honestly don't see how they can come back from this kind of negation. This is a complete negation. She's dumping her membership of 30 years. She's leaving the party. She's an ex-cabinet minister. It's as bad as it gets. But actually, it isn't quite as bad as it gets. Let me correct myself there, because there will be more to come. That's the problem. And I think Kemi Badenoch is just sat at home now thinking, who's next? My God, what's going to happen? Who's next? How do we spin this? What do we do? Do we do something as terrible as they've just done, which was actually blame it on her mental health to begin with, although Badenoch wasn't involved in that, but they said, you know, she was unhappy, it was all about her mental health. That's appalling. As Nigel said, that's gutter politics, but I would say that's the politics of desperation. That's where the Conservative Party is. It's very sad, but let's be honest, Kev, they deserve it. They've let everybody down for the last 14 years, whatever it is. Their time in government was appalling. Immigration, identity politics, wokeness, you name it. They were responsible for bringing it in. They didn't stand up against it. Now we have the worst government in history, and lots of it is down to the Conservative Party.
Absolutely, and this sort of sanguine attitude that Kemi Badenoch goes out of her way to adopt, it is covering up an increasing sense of panic, as betrayed by that disgraceful tweet today from Tory High Command to suggest that the reason for Suella defecting to Reform was because she's got mental health difficulties, mental health problems. That is disgusting. Of course, they pulled that down and said, no, that was a mistake. But it does reveal how desperate they're beginning to feel. This is bad. Now, I've got a text here, Philip. This is from Angie. And I think this reflects what a lot of Reform supporters feel. They're not happy about this increasing number of disaffected Tories, particularly the top Tories, joining the party. They think that Reform's in danger of becoming a kind of retirement home for Tories whose careers weren't going that well under Kemi Badenoch. But Angie has written to me to say, Farage is playing the long game. Build the cabinet with Tory defectors, get into number 10, sack them all and replace them with proper Reform members. He hates the Tories after he stepped back and they backstabbed him. Well, I believe that's true, the last sentence, but he's a pragmatist, and I do think that he believes, quite rightly in my view, that, getting particularly Robert Jenrick and Suella Braverman is a really good coup for the party. How does he, though, Philip, deal with this problem? I think it's only natural that right-wing members of the Tories party, particularly MPs, who, like the rest of us, feel betrayed by the Tories for 14 years, Cameron, May, Johnson, Sunak, getting more and more left-wing. It's only natural that these people find it a better home for them in Reform UK. It's only natural this is going to happen. Nigel Farage would be foolish to turn around and say, Jenrick, no, or Suella, no, you stay where... He'd be stupid to do that. But he needs to somehow articulate or explain why this isn't a problem. And I don't think he's doing that well on that score at the moment. What does he need to tell the people?
Well, I think it doesn't necessarily mean his strategy now is going to be his strategy in 6 months' time. And he will probably change and he will probably become much more choosy. OK, I think what's happening is he really wants to put the Tory party to bed. He wants to put it out of its misery. He wants to put it to death. To do that, he is demonstrating and showcasing with every single defection that the Tory party is one step nearer to expiring, OK? And I think that is his end game at the moment. Give it a few months, his end game will change. And then he will really think about quality rather than quantity, because he will be that bit nearer to having to make really, really serious decisions. What he really wants at the moment is quantity. What he wants to see is the Tory party falling apart. And in a way, I can understand why he's doing that. By the same token, Kev, I can understand everybody's concerns here. But people, as I say, people change their strategy and adopt different methods of doing things. First of all, I think it's getting rid of the Tories. I definitely wants to do that. I think we can all be fairly agreed on that. And then secondly, it's building this body of MPs around him. Yes, he's got some people who I certainly wouldn't have chosen, and I don't think you would have chosen either. But he has Jenrick, and now he has Braverman. And I think, they are two massive scalps. Yeah. And let's look forward and let's see what he does next.
Indeed. And he said, of course, after the May elections, that's it. He won't be taking any more big-name Tories. He won't be accepting them into the Reform ranks. He's got to draw the line somewhere. But don't forget, after Jenrick sensationally defected, Kemi immediately, that's now a couple of Thursdays ago, isn't it? Kemi immediately announced that's the last of the defections, and then Andrew Rossendale defected on the Sunday. He's a former cabinet minister, shadow cabinet member, and now Suella Braverman. So Kemi Badenoch saying that's the last of the defections doesn't put her in a very good light, does it?
No, I mean, at this rate, Reform aren't going to need a general election. All they need to do is watch the Tory Tory politicians falling like skittles and rolling towards them. And then what have they got now? They've got 8 politicians, I think, now. OK, I'm being facetious, but there is a point here, isn't there? You know, the Tory party is reducing and reducing and reducing, not only in terms of number, but also in terms of quality, in terms of influence, and in terms of actually having any kind of they're not taken seriously anymore. That is their biggest problem. Any statement that Kemi Badenoch makes, people just understand its damage limitation, and it isn't anything else. If a party is on the back foot like that, and they have been for such a long time, and the future just looks incredibly black for them, then, you know, I think it's curtains for them. I really do.
Yeah, I think they are facing an existential crisis. They could go out of existence like the dinosaurs. Your thoughts, Philip, if you will, on the Andy Burnham psychodrama. The Prime Minister joining, I think, was it 8 others on the National Executive Council of the Labour Party to block Andy's bid to stand in that by-election up in the north. And saying that, well, this is because if Andy did stand in the by-election, it would trigger a mayoral election. That would cost a lot of money. Nobody wants that. Is that true? I don't know. You know, want him to carry on as the Manchester mayor because he's doing such a good job. Interestingly, the self-styled King of the North, Andy Burnham, it seems to me, if you ask the people of Manchester whether or not he's doing a fantastic job, they don't necessarily concur with the Prime Minister. Most Mancunians I speak to seem to think Andy Burnham is a crap King of the North and he's doing a terrible job in Manchester, and he could bring that out for the whole country if he managed to challenge Starmer. But did you believe Keir Starmer when he said that was why he blocked Andy Burnham, because they didn't want a mayoral election?
Well, they didn't want a mayoral election and they're worried about cost. That must be a first, mustn't it? It's worrying about cost. I've never noticed that before. I think, you know, that is a new one on me.
Yeah.
I mean,
so why do you think, Keir, I mean, I can't work it out. Why do you think Keir Starmer did block Andy Burnham for becoming an MP?
Why did he completely stitch him up? Yeah, I mean, Keir Starmer is just terrified, isn't he? He's not only terrified of Andy Burnham, he's terrified of West Streeting. You can almost hear the dining room table being dragged at the back of the front door of number 10. And I think Keir Starmer's just going to hunker down and become a recluse in there, like Howard Hughes, you know, walking on toilet paper type thing. And, you know, we'll see a hologram of him every now and again, and it'll be diversity is our strength, and that's it, and the hologram will disappear in public, and that's it. I mean, he's terrified. This is ridiculous, but there is a massive civil war. There's an utter revolt going on. The MPs from Liverpool and, you know, fairly left-wing MPs are just calling for his resignation. But this is just par for the course with the Labour Party, isn't it? It's utter chaos with the government every day. They don't even govern by the day. I've said this before. They govern by the hour, and Keir Starmer is just literally holding on to the front door of number 10 with his fingernails. You can see the marks there.
Exactly right. And I'll tell you what his next move is going to be. I'll guarantee you. He will promote Angela Rayner back out of the abyss that she's fallen into due to her own disgrace and her own shameful behaviour over her flat in Hove in Sussex. Starmer will bring her back because, of course, she's hitched her wagon to Andy Burnham, and Starmer needs to break up that double act. So that's what's going to happen, proving, of course, Philip, that in politics, shame and disgrace only lasts a few days, and then you're back with a top job in the cabinet. It is pathetic. It's why people are so fed up with politics. Philip, great to talk to you. We'll get you on later in the week. Philip Kiszely there, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum.